Artificial intelligence. Man, it is everywhere, isn't it? You hear about it constantly. It's either going to solve all of our problems, or it's the end of the world as we know it. It's definitely exciting, but let's be real, it's also a little confusing. So today, we're going to cut through the noise. We're going to build a simple field guide, together, to figure out what's really going on.
And let's just start with the biggest question on everyone's mind, the elephant in the room. Is AI going to make your job obsolete? Look, it's a totally fair question, and it's probably why you clicked on this in the first place. But here's the thing. To get a real, honest answer, we have to look past the scary headlines. We need to peek under the hood a little and see what's actually making this engine run. Because the answer isn't just about the tech, it's about where we fit in next to it. By the end of this, I promise, we'll swap that confusion for some clarity.
Okay, so at the heart of pretty much all modern AI is this idea called machine learning. It's not magic, I promise you, it's a process. And that process usually happens in one of three main ways. Think of it like a student getting ready for a test. There are a few different ways to study.
So what is machine learning really? Well, at its core, it's just about teaching computers to recognize patterns. Instead of a programmer having to write code for every single possible outcome, we just feed the machine a ton of data and let it figure out the rules for itself. That way, it can make smart predictions about new stuff it's never even seen before.
So, this slide breaks down the first two methods perfectly. On the left, you've got supervised learning. The easiest way to think about this is like studying with flashcards. The AI is given a bunch of data that's already labeled, like this is a picture of a cat, this one is a dog. It learns from having the right answers. Now, on the right, you have unsupervised learning. This is more like being given a giant messy box of Legos and being told, sort these. The AI has to find the hidden patterns and group similar things together all by itself, with no help from us.
And the third method is reinforcement learning. And this one is all about learning by doing, trial and error. Imagine a computer learning to play chess. It's our agent. Every time it makes a good move, it gets a point, a little digital pat on the back. When it makes a bad move, it gets penalized. After playing millions and millions of games, it starts to learn which actions get it closer to its goal, winning.
So, we know the different styles of learning now, but how does the actual teaching part work? What are the ground rules to make sure the machine is actually learning something useful and not just messing around?
Well, it starts with splitting up the data. We take a big chunk, usually about 70%, and that becomes the training set. This is the stuff the model gets to study to learn all the patterns. The other 30%, we keep that totally separate. That's the test set. Think of it as the final exam. It's brand new data the model has never seen, and we use it to see how well it actually learned.
This seems pretty straightforward, right? More training should equal a smarter model. But what if a model gets a little too good at studying? What if it stops learning the concepts and starts just memorizing the answers?
This leads to a huge problem in AI called overfitting, and this image shows it perfectly. It's just like a student who memorizes the answers to a practice test, but then completely bombs the real exam because the questions are slightly different. The model becomes a genius on the training data, but it's totally useless in the real world because it never learned to generalize. The whole game is finding that sweet spot right in the middle, that appropriate fitting.
Okay, that's enough of the theory. Where does this stuff actually show up in our lives? Let's connect these ideas to the real world, to the apps and services you're probably using every single day.
Supervised learning is literally everywhere. Your email spam filter, that was trained on millions of emails that humans labeled as spam or not spam. Companies use sentiment analysis, trained on tagged positive and negative reviews to see what you think about their products. And in medicine, these models are trained on thousands of labeled scans to help doctors spot diseases earlier.
And of course, there are the recommendation systems. Every time Amazon suggests a product or Spotify creates a playlist for you, that's a supervised model predicting what you'll love next. And the other types? Well, remember that messy pile of photos? Unsupervised learning is how your phone automatically groups all the pictures of your family together, even if you never tag them. And reinforcement learning? That's the secret sauce that makes the bad guys in video games so smart and challenging, because they're learning from how you play.
So, how do these systems get so incredibly accurate? Well, a lot of the time, it's not just one AI making the decision. They use a cool technique where they combine hundreds, sometimes thousands, of simple AI models into a team. Think of it like getting a second opinion from a whole crowd of experts instead of just one. Their combined majority vote is almost always way better than any single expert's guess. All right, now that we've covered the fundamentals, let's bring this all back home. Back to you, your career, and the future of work.
We started this whole thing with a very direct question, and now it's time for a direct answer. With everything we've just gone over, how should we really think about our careers in the age of AI?
Here's the first part of the answer, and it might be a relief. The real threat for most of us is not that a machine is going to suddenly show up and take over our desk.
And that is the crucial point. The shift isn't about human versus machine. It's about people who adapt versus people who don't. The real advantage is going to go to the person who understands these tools and can use them to be more creative, more efficient, and more valuable.
This quote really just sums it all up perfectly. This is not a story of replacement. It's a story of collaboration. The future isn't about trying to compete with AI. It's about partnering with it to do things we never could before on our own.
Just understanding the basics, the stuff we've covered today, is the most important first step you can take. It transforms AI from some big, scary threat into an incredible opportunity. The only question left is, are you ready to take it